And we are live.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Melted Zone here, live on YouTube. What's up, everybody? We're doing open topic today. So, what do you guys want to talk about?
Well, let's talk about the movie. What was the movie you saw again?
Oh, Long Shot. It was really good.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, it's very funny. Seth Rogen was hilarious in that.
Funny.
What was a long shot? What's the meaning of
You're
like? What's
funny.
So in the movie, the basic outline of it is he's a journalist and he ends up running into this woman at this party that Boys to Men were playing at, and she's like this Secretary of State, and he ends up writing for her, doing like her writings and stuff whenever she goes up on stage and stuff. And so it's like a romantic comedy kind of deal. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, sounds cool.
And she ends up running for president. So
Awesome.
yeah.
I wonder if that's like predictive programming. That part.
Huh?
I wonder if that part is predictive programming.
That's what I was wondering when I was watching the movie. I was like, well, that. And then she said that she was running in 2020. So I was like, oh, that's just around the corner. So, and I think there's like a lady that's also running for president too, in 2022 as well. So I kind of looked at that and I was like, huh, they're trying to tell us something here.
Oh yeah, I can see that for sure. Yeah.
So how are you doing though, Mike? Welcome to the panel.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Yeah. Yeah, other than what we talked about earlier, but yeah.
Oh yeah, got you. And Mark, how are you doing? I don't know if he can actually talk or not yet. Been having some issues here. Far better than he deserves, he says. But hey, I do have a good topic to ask you guys. What do you guys think of this whole alien thing?
Aliens.
And like the alien deception in general.
Yeah. What do you guys think of the alien
Krispy
deception?
Kreme donuts.
Well, I talked to one. I don't really know, other than they're playing something. But I did talk to somebody about it, and they were saying that they think that what's going to happen is that the aliens are going to say, "Look, we created you. It wasn't really God. We had a test tube or something." Kind of like the plot to that latest Alien movie. I forget what it's called. If you saw that movie, like that's what happened. Like they alluded to the fact that these aliens made us from goo or something, like blue test tube stuff or something. And then they'll have the outer space and aliens from other places. I think it's going to somehow be used to try to take people away from God, or what maybe is I say maybe they'll be like, hey, we're here to save you from yourselves because you blew each other up with nuclear weapons, and so you need us to fix everything or something.
Mark says that they came from Krispy Kreme donuts and they are staying for world domination.
Right. Krispy Kreme donuts.
Oh man, that's funny. But yeah, I looked into that a little bit, and somehow, some way, it all goes back to I guess there's a Samaritan text or something too as well that talks about these things coming out from somewhere, and what was it? I'm trying to think of the name of the text, but they were saying that that they were our creators and all this other stuff. So it was very weird, to say the least. I think they have a certain way that they're going to show lying signs and wonders in the sky. And I mean, like this technology can also be a deception that they may use or something, like those UFOs and stuff. Um, but yeah, that's a very weird topic, but at the same time, it's very interesting.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that too is like I had a dream the other night, like that, like there's like a blue flashlight or something, was like looking through my ceiling or something, like looking to see who was in the room. You know what I mean? And my bedroom is like off the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And so I don't know how that would happen, but I wonder if there's stories like that where they do stuff and then they wipe your memory of it or something. You know what I mean?
yeah, that could be a possibility too. You know, they have technology that we may not understand, so that could be a possibility. Yeah. But Mark said Nag scriptures or Vedas. I don't know what Vedas is. I've never heard of that. But
Well,
the Nag scriptures I've heard of kind of. It's a different kind of scripture that goes into depth of, I guess it's the demiurge or something. I don't know. Um, one of my cousins, she actually read through it cover to cover, and she said it had some very interesting things in it, but she didn't really go into too much detail. Do you know anything about that, Mike?
how do you spell that? VEDAS?
For which one?
The Vedas or whatever you're talking about?
Oh yeah, it is Vedas. Yes.
Yeah, those are Hindu texts. Um, uh, the one I'm familiar with, I've read is the Rig Veda. Rig Veda, how do you pronounce it? RIGVEDA. I think it means like king. Rig, it's like royal or regal or something. But those are the earliest Hindu texts. They go back to Indo-European origins that are they're similar to Zoroastrian texts, where they like the names of some of the deities that are in the Zoroastrian texts are similar. I think like they had like a common origin at one point, um, and those writings and culture and whatnot are related to Indo-European mythologies and whatnot. So they had a common origin, probably like north of Turkey somewhere, you know, between Europe and Russian Asia, like right in that area of the world. I'm not sure whether it's like the Black Sea or something's right around there, Caspian Sea or something. Like so who knows how they'll all came about, but they talk a lot about soma in the Rig Veda, which is like this kind of holy drink or something that bestows, I forget what it's, immortality or spiritual enlightenment or something. It's like it's all about the soma, kind of like I guess like with that sci-fi movie Dune where they had the spice or something. So they or like the Holy Grail or something. You had the drink from the Holy Grail, but so soma's big. They had a god named Indra. It was like a lightning god, which is similar to Zeus or that sort of thing. So, but they didn't. There's some things they did not have. Like I think, like there's other gods morphed over there. It gets kind of complicated with Hindu stuff. But like I think, I don't think they had Brahma, and maybe they had Vishnu. I don't know. I don't think they had. Was Shiva yet, like in CERN. But there was another god that sort of resembled Shiva, I think. But a lot of these mythologies in general throughout the world, they have interchangeable names and stuff. So who knows? But it's been so long since I read it. I don't remember too much more than that.
Huh. I think I've grabbed a book of that a while back. This is before I was saved. I went to this concert up in Phoenix. It was the Warped Tour concert. This is the 2015 one, by the way. And no, sorry, 2014. I went to the 2014 one. And I remember these people coming out of nowhere with like these books. And so I grabbed one because they said it's free. And
Okay.
this guy was kind of like, well, I'm like, what is this? And I asked him, and he was like, well, this is like mysticism or something, or I don't know what the heck he called it, some weird thing. And I was like, all right, whatever. So I just grabbed it and I kind of read a little bit of it, but it was talking about these weird. They described it like chariots in the sky, and that these gods came down in these chariots of the sky, and they were fighting over the world. And it was really weird. I don't really know exactly what it was, the book I was reading, but I kind of threw it away after I read a little bit. I was like, this is just too freaky for me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for sure. It's like all part of that. So there's so many traps and deceptions for people. You know what I mean? Like for believers too. It's like so Lucifer has got like so many millions and millions of traps laid out for people. Where but there's only one truth though. So you know.
and that is Jesus Christ. That's the only truth. You know. Um, Also, I don't know if you guys have you guys ever read Josh McDowell?
I had no idea who they is. Tell me more about it.
The book is called The New Evidence That Determines a Verdict. And it has some very interesting stuff in it. Let me see if I can get to that one page. I was just reading it not too long ago, and it was talking about how the Bible survived, how it's so unique, how it can unique in continuity, unique in circulation, unique in translation, unique in its survival through time, through persecution, through criticism, unique in its teachings, prophecy, history, character, unique in influence on literature, unique in influence on civilization, a reason to a reasonable conclusion. But there's just so much in here where it talks about how they were in different areas and yet they all had the same similar in the New Testament they all had the same similar stuff that was going on. Like there's different translations for the Bible in Africa, and there's like 2,436,187. Like the new reader sections, there's like three for Africa. There's 350,092. For America, there's 25,120,752. Asia Pacific is 9,765,192. But in all total, when you all gather them all together, even from mid Europe and East Europe, it says that there's 275,358. And so the grand total for all the new readers and stuff would be 35,511,398.
Wow. Super detailed.
Yeah, this guy, he's man, little background on him. He's a speaker, author, and he went to theological seminary. This is a book basically right here for, like apologetics and stuff. But it gives you a very good foundation of where the Bible came from, why it's here, how it's reliable, and there's all these kinds of different evidences and stuff like that that answer to critics and like maybe even persuade you to believe that the Bible's true.
Yeah, I
For
can see that.
people that are coming to the scriptures.
Sure. I can see that.
So I can go more in detail later on that. I'll start doing videos on that as well, and we can read chapter to chapter and stuff on it from his book.
Okay, sounds good.
If you guys ever want to join on that too as well. So what do you guys want to talk about now?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I want to talk about. Is I was talking to that guy I think it's Armor Up. I want to call him Armor All. Right? You know what I mean? Like the car stuff, so it doesn't scratch your tires or whatever it is, right? Um, right? Overall, oh my god, it's funny, right? With the Viking guy, he's all, protect my car, right? But he was talking about the in the I'm sorry, I'm obsessed with it lately, but like the book of Enoch, right? It's what I read lately, so it's on my mind. How the Watchers, they rebelled after the first rebellion. So if it was 1/3 of the angels that fell with Lucifer, then it's more than 1/3 of the angels that are SOL, basically, right? So I don't know if it's half or I don't know what the number is, but there's a lot of them that fell. And the weird thing about it to me is that means that straight up out, or Lucifer got his ass kicked back to Earth, right? Or wherever he went, TARDIS or whatever it is. That the other angels were probably like, "Whoa, let's not do what he did," right? But yet they did. So, like that to me is just mind-boggling. You know that, like, like Satan was trying to be like kind of what happened to me. He was trying to be a punk, right? Didn't know his place, right? Talking crap, and he got knocked out of heaven, basically, right? And then you think that would be enough for everyone else to be like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that. But then the other ones did. So I don't know. To me, that's just a mind-boggling. There's got to be some wisdom in that we can glean about all this stuff. What do you think?
I think it's the art of persuasion. So to persuade people to get them to believe a certain way, you show them the evidence, right?
Uh-huh.
And so maybe he somehow persuaded those angels into believing him to rebel against God. And that's what we're when you read the scriptures to others and you're showing them Christ, it's really Christ in you that's showing him.
Mhm.
God's always calling out to other people.
Yeah.
So it's not really us, it's really the Holy Spirit in us that's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's persuading people to believe on the Lord Jesus Christ. And then there's others that try to persuade him another way. So in that sense, when you're looking at it, what has Lucifer always been trying to do? He's been trying to get people to rebel against God
Mm-hmm.
and the angels to rebel against God. So how is he doing that? By persuasion.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that they didn't come to that conclusion on their own. So that must mean they had some kind of access to Lucifer all that time, right?
I mean, yeah.
Like,
I mean, it seems like that. I mean,
so maybe like on their iPhones or something, they're like texting, right?
I don't.
Right.
I wouldn't know how to say that. Like, I wouldn't say that, but I mean, I don't know. Personally, I just, like I said, he persuaded them. I think he persuaded them to believe his certain way. Um, there's persuasion everywhere when you think about it. Like people persuade somebody to drink a Coke, or they could persuade you from eating a hamburger to eating a salad.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
But to persuade someone, they have to have access to that person.
Yeah. There's got to be some sort of way to access to them.
And that's assuming that it wasn't a completely different rebellion. You know what I mean? Right?
Okay. I think I know what you mean. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah. So everything's in Bible time, so I don't know what the exact figure. But let's put it in our human time, right? So let's say in the 1950s, Satan was running around driving in a Chevy and drinking milkshakes, and he's like, you know what, the heck with this, I'm going to go rob a bank or something, right? And then he gets caught, he gets put wherever he gets put, maybe he's on house arrest or something, I don't know, but he's somewhere, right? And then this fast forward, now 70 years later, right, or whatever it is, right? There's another. Let's say Satan was he was like an immigrant from a very like from, I don't know, some very obscure island in the Pacific or something, right? That and there was one. There's a few more of those islanders or something, because just not to pick on anybody in any part of the world, but from a very specific geographic reason, i.e., angels. So they're different than everybody else. That was living in Detroit or wherever it is, next to Satan or somewhere, right? And Satan got busted for whatever he did, and so he's let's say he's in house arrest somewhere or probation or whatever it is. And that was like then 70 years later, or maybe 20 years later. Let's say it happened in the 70s or something, right? And these same group decide, you know what, I'm going to do that too, because I was persuaded by Satan or something. So that one, they would have to have access to him somehow. That means they would have had to have been talking to him all that time, right? So, but I'm not convinced that that's what happened, though. But it seems logical. That's where your mind automatically wants to go there, because you want to assume that it fits a nice wrap package, that everything is just one thing. It's Satan, da 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 da. But maybe it's not. Maybe there were multiple, rebellions. And so what all does that imply? And if it could happen once, could it happen again? You know what I'm saying? Because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it couldn't happen again. Maybe next time it'll be another angel that says, you know what, forget this. Check, please. I'm going to rebel. You know what I mean? I don't know. Just throwing it out there for food for thought. And then so there's that. And then if let's say he was persuading him, why did it take him 20 years to persuade him? Why didn't they bail out with the other third? Why did it take them longer to come to that conclusion? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, Mark right here just wrote that, he in biblical time, he still had access to heaven. When you remember when Job, when the Lord asked,
I thought of that. He's roaming the earth. Yeah, so it means he's not trapped, huh?
No, he's everywhere.
Yeah.
Remember, he's still condemning us day and night. He's trying to condemn us, and it's not working because God's like, no, that person right there, he has my son on his account. My son's blood is on his account. He's a child of mine.
Yeah.
Nah. So it's like that. He wants to always be the accuser. So, it's just, there's a lot that talks about that in the scriptures and stuff. So, he has access, you know what I mean? He can go up there, he can talk to God, say, well, this one right here did this, and this one did this, so I'm trying to think. That's a good question, really, to be quite honest with you.
Right. And then the other question I have, if Satan's running around everywhere, is he a spirit? Or is he like a lot of angels? They have the body. Does he physically have a body, or is he just purely spirit?
Well, what I see right here, what also Mark is saying, the big rebellion seems to be the war of all ages until time's finished. Remember, it's not flesh and blood, but it's the principalities that are at B. So that's what brings me back to that too, because I remember in the scriptures, I can't really exactly pinpoint where it was, but it was talking about we're not fighting against flesh and blood, but against principalities. So there's a spiritual realm out there, and the angels are fighting, and the fallen angels are fighting against the angels, and then the demons are there too as well, which I believe those demons are the Nephilim spirits.
Mm-hmm. So do I. So I wonder. Yeah, so I'm thinking. So I wonder what he's. Yeah, I don't know. That whole. There's a lot of questions I have about all that stuff that are just not. I guess they're not. I don't know. It's just maybe not meant for us. Who knows? But it's definitely a lot of unanswered questions for sure.
I know the word talks a lot about different things in there. I mean, I would have to look in the Bible again, because I know there's certain things that expound on these ideas and stuff, that and these questions that you have. Like when you're talking about, you think it's in different times, right? You were saying like in our reality be like different times, but really in that realm they have no time, so it's that's where it's different for us, because we're not in that realm right now. We're in
Yeah,
the
but it affected us differently though, because we for us it was a different time. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, that's true. Um, and another thing that I wanted to talk about too is, well, how these disclosures are starting to happen, like the military and all that other stuff. They're starting to disclose that UFOs, that they've been dealing with them for so long and all this and that. Now they're starting to be open on that kind of subject. And
Uh,
it's kind of like astounding to me because why would you hold back for so many years and now all of a sudden now you want to go out there and tell people of these different things and they're going to call them aliens, but really they're fallen angels or demons, like you know wait, I should say it differently on that, because the fallen angels are trapped right now, if I remember correctly, right, in the book of Enoch they talk about them.
that was yes, that was a specific group of them though. It was like that was that was for the angels that had sex and made Nephilim. They're trapped in Tartarus. The other third that happened before, I don't know. I'm not sure where they are.
Huh.
That's another question. Where the heck are they at? Are they like stuck in like a closet somewhere, or
Some
yeah.
people have ideas on that, like Antarctica. They can, you can consider that a desert, a frozen desert.
I can see that.
Yeah, so some people have said that they were probably trapped over there. Um, like I said, I don't know personally, but I've heard so many different ideas on that. Like I said, with the whole them being over there, and no, they're in the Sahara Desert, that they're trapped there, or there's so many different areas that I'm just like, okay, I don't know. But it's very interesting to hear those kind of things. I guess you could say, it makes you wonder. Um, but like I haven't really read the Book of Enoch too much, so I don't really know too much about the Book of Enoch.
Yeah,
I've heard others talk about it, but that's pretty much it.
yeah. I talked to Floyd about it too. I guess there's other stuff I must have missed the first time I read it. Like he was talking about how it talks about flat Earth. I may have saw that and just didn't really care or something because I don't know. It just wasn't important to me. Um, and he said some other things. I forget what he said now. Geez, what was? Oh, no, I'm missing it. There's something else. A few other things he added on there though. Um, and Mark suggested the next story I do be about have you listened to all the scripts I've written so far, Esteban?
Some of them that I've been on there with you guys. I don't know how many scripts you've actually written.
It's hard. It's like when we were doing it, right? Like when someone is like, I'll talk to you privately sometime. Um, I'm sorry, just had that on my mind real quick.
No,
Yeah,
I completely understand. It's fine. But yeah, go ahead and say what you're gonna say.
about what?
It sounded like you were gonna say something else after you were like, "Well, we'll talk about that later."
Oh,
But
yeah. I was just thinking, like, just going back to the whole angels thing, and then I think there's some of the angels are like look different, like they have 1,000 eyes, or you know, weird things like that, or something. Um, I don't know what they look like because there's different. Because when angels is kind of a deceptive term because there's different things. Like angels have a. I was looking, Michael Eisner, I think his name is. Like he goes over all these very um, detailed talks about that sort of thing, and so I guess there's angels just one description. It's like a messenger. That they're kind of like the UPS of heaven, I think, right? Angels are
oh,
right. They're sort of like UPS or the post office, right?
well, what Mark is saying is they are the spiritual powers, like one named sin, one death, one war, famine, etc. The killer, thieves, and destroy spirit beings. So there's like there's those that he was talking about right there. And when you read in the Old Testament, like in Ezekiel and stuff like that, you come out to hear what they look like. Um, Angels are messengers. Mark also said, yes, they are. They're messengers. That's what angel means messenger.
Right, but there's other beings that are not technically angels that we call them angels. It's because it's like a catch-all term. So technically, an angel's a job description. They're UPS of heaven, basically, right? But there's other ones that like cherubim and this and that, and there's all these other things that we just label angel, right? But are actually different. That they do other things, and they don't look the same. Like they'll have four heads or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you. And that's why, like, when we start to see these things come on the earth, you know, personally, I think from this, it's going to freak people out, you
Mhm.
know, because they're completely different than what we look like.
Right.
And then it tells us what Mark said too was the throne room ones have four heads and six wings covered with eyes. Yeah,
Yeah. Covered with eyes. That's just bizarre looking.
you see,
For
and you know, some people are going to say those are aliens because they're not going to, you know, because it's foreign. That's what alien means. It's
oh
foreign.
yeah, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, for sure. Right. Yeah, they'd be
And
like, oh, they're from planet Mars when they're really angel. But but a lot of people when they see the quote unquote aliens, they're like the kind that are anthropomorphic with the big eyes and stuff, right?
oh, you're talking about the what they call grays or something?
Yeah, right, right, like those.
Yeah, I've had dreams of those, but that was some weird stuff that I dreamt.
I got to hear it.
Uh,
What's the dream? Let's hear it.
they were their heads were elongated and their eyes were really pitch dark, and their mouth in the dream was really long. Um, and all I can remember seeing one of them in one of the dreams, a bunch of people were screaming their heads off, and I looked at it and I was like, well, I don't know what the heck this dream is meaning, but it scared the living shit out of me. You know, I felt so real. Um, and they had this very loud pitch voice that it would like make your ears bleed in my dream. Uh, like I said, it's just a dream.
But what if it
Um,
wasn't a dream though? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm wondering. Like what if what you think is a dream actually happened?
well, that would be really weird because they felt they like I touched them,
See what I mean?
and in the dream, they're I can remember the way it felt. It was like slimy
Hmm.
and scaly, and
Like
then huh?
like reptilian skin.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It was just a weird texture.
Uh-huh.
Um, but before that happened, I just remember I was older. I don't know how old I was, but like there was somebody with me, and we were preaching to people about Christ. And the next thing you know, I get arrested,
Mm.
and they bring me into this gray room, and I don't know what I'm doing there. And all I remember is this peace, like this peace that you can't really explain.
Hmm.
Um, it surpassed everything that we comprehend. I mean, it was peaceful, but I looked up and I was on the chop block. I was about to die for my faith, um, for believing on the Lord Jesus Christ. And that's when I felt that hand of that thing, and I just remember going, "I'm going home." And then I didn't feel the pain at all. It just went down, and I was gone. It was just a weird dream. Like I said, I mean, it felt so real, but I don't know.
Yeah. That'd be a scary dream. It's like a nightmare.
Yeah, but at the end, like I said, it was like this peace came upon that I couldn't explain. It was like something that we can't really comprehend. And Mark says he licked his fingers after handling the thingy thing.
Right. Right. Wipe the chin. And the aliens are like, call me. Right. I'm blowing kisses. Or no way, they do the heart thing with their hand, right?
It's like, call me later, baby.
Yeah, right. And you're like, what the hell? And they put their like finger to your lips, like shh, right?
It's funny.
And they're handing you some like green roses or something from Marc. Right?
Oh man.
And they're like, here's cat fare.
Cat fair.
Right? Here's alien cat fare. Now get out of my planet. Wipe yourself off. Right?
Oh wow.
They kick you out. You're in a beam. What the hell?
Oh man. But on the serious note too, I did see one when I was a kid. Very close up UFO.
A saucer shape, right? I think that's what you said before.
Yeah, it was very flat. My jaw dropped, so I didn't know what to do. I was a kid. I think I was like 11 years old when I saw that. I wanted, like, as a kid, I was so curious. I wanted to go up to and touch it. And
Yeah,
my
wow.
teacher just like looked at me. You're crazy. You're not gonna go over there. I was like, oh, watch me.
Right?
And as soon as I was like thinking that, the thing disappeared on us. It flew away. It was there for
Wow.
1 second, then the next it was gone.
Sure.
Yeah, it was really weird. But this metal that was on it, it was metallic, like a really different kind of metallic, kind of something that's not from this. Like I mean, it could be from this world, but like it didn't seem like it, you know.
Uh-huh.
And it was really long. I mean, it was like a, you know, like how do I explain this? Like a frisbee, but like flat like a frisbee, okay?
Hmm.
But really like long, like it was like as large as maybe 2 or 3 football fields,
Hmm.
which is really weird. But then it went, like I said, it went away, and me and this lady were kind of like, well, you guys can call her teacher. It was Kitco. I don't know if you've heard of Kitco.
No, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, it's like an after-school program for kids when, you know, back then, and just we didn't know what to say. We just looked at each other like, what the hell just happened? And I told her, I was like, I want to go touch it. She's like,
Right?
no, you're not going over there. What the hell's wrong with you?
Trip.
Yeah.
So she saw it too?
She saw it too, but nobody else saw it. It was just me and her. It was really weird.
So there was other people around who could not see it?
Yeah, they were like, "What do you guys? Why you guys aren't like?" Like one of my friends came up to me. He's like, "Why aren't you moving? Like, why is your jaw dropped?"
Did were they looking in the direction where the thing was, or was like their back to it or something?
Well, they looked right at me. They looked at me, and then they looked where we were looking, and they're like, "What are you guys looking at?"
Oh, so they physically couldn't see it.
They couldn't see it.
Oh, that's weird. But the teacher could see it. Was anybody else but you and the teacher see it?
I don't know. My friend just like freaked out when he saw our jaws dropped, and he was asking me questions like, what's going on?" He couldn't see it, so he was like, "What are you guys looking at? Like, what's over there? I don't see anything." I was like,
I wonder why you guys could see it, but other people couldn't see it.
"I don't know. That is something I have no idea."
Yeah, I don't know. That's when something's out of the ordinary like that, it makes me wonder. Like, I wonder if there's other stories like that. Yeah, see if there's a pattern in that. Because like
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, well, like kind of like there's patterns in these stories of lots of patterns, I guess. I would assume, but I know the only one because I don't read about them, but from what I've seen on TV and whatnot is like the one of the patterns is that if you say Jesus, then they don't like that or they makes them go away or something.
Oh yeah. I can tell you about that too. What do they call that when you're paralyzed? You're in a sleep, but you're paralyzed and you can
Sleep
feel
paralysis.
everything. That. Yeah. So I had that experience one time. I was sleeping during the day, and I can barely speak. Uh, this weird scorpion-looking thing like started crawling around my room,
Uh huh.
and this weird other thing that had like a cloak on, but like its face was white.
Uh huh.
And I didn't know what the heck that was, and it was freaking me out because it had a weird looking smile,
Uh huh.
and I couldn't see its feet, like it looked like it was floating. It was weird. Um, all I can remember is trying to call out for my grandmother because like I didn't know who else to call for at
Yeah.
the time, So I
Sure.
was like, and this voice in my head, I don't know what it was, but like this voice was like, "That's not gonna save you. You know who's gonna save you." And I was like, "What?" And out of nowhere, I started Jesus, and then it like all of it went away, and that thing was about to come up, and it was like getting on my chest.
Oh yeah.
That scorpion thing, and it looked like it was
Trippy.
about to cut me open. It was really weird.
Damn. Yeah, that's what like that's I don't remember Scorpion, but I had like something was I couldn't get up and I said Jesus to help me out. So yeah, it's a similar thing, huh?
Sounds like it. I mean, I, that like I said, it was like a calm voice telling me she's not gonna save you. You know who's gonna save you. And I was like, Jesus. But like I can barely say his name. It was so hard to say it.
Uh-huh. That's how I remember it too.
But as soon as I said it, I woke up. Everything was better. Uh, yeah. I don't know. It was really weird. And sometimes I don't like talking about it because then uh, I don't know. I feel like people judge when it comes to
Yeah,
that
I can
kind of
see
stuff.
that. Right. I keep an open mind though, because I don't know. All this stuff seems logical to me somehow. So yeah, you don't have no reason to lie. Why would you do that?
No, no, I wouldn't lie about that. It scared the living heck out of me. Um, but on another note, so when I think it was Paul, and he was talking about how he knew a man that went up to the third heaven, um, which was he was talking about himself, but he was trying not to, lift himself up on that kind of stuff. But he was saying he can't like that person couldn't really how do you say can't really utter what he saw or what they were speaking. Um, it makes you wonder, you know what I mean? Like when we go when we're out of this physical world, like what are we gonna see? I know we're gonna see Jesus next, but like what else are we gonna see? You know what I mean? Like doesn't that ever bring a curiosity to your mind at all, Mike? What do you think on that?
Like what I'm going to see when I see Jesus? You mean?
Like everything around you, like because our world, we're so limited and stuff. How would you think of seeing, like, say the technology was way different in that realm, right?
Uh,
Like we can't even fathom. Like we think like computers, like our cell phones, um, like our cell phones and everything. Like how you're like, oh, dude, this is amazing. Like this technology is so awesome, and this is basically nothing.
mhm.
Like I don't know. Sometimes I just wonder. That's just my own mindset, I guess. And somebody had an idea that, you know, it's just their idea. I was just thinking about it one day, and I was like, well, I wonder. So I asked this guy this question. I was like, so you're saying our technology is nothing but, not that great compared to what we're probably going to see when we go up there or whatever. And he's like, yeah. So I was like, so can you please explain that and give like your thoughts on it? And the guy was like, well, I personally, and this is just a thought. I'm not saying that it's true or anything like that because we don't see it in the scriptures or anything, but he just started going on with his thoughts. And he says that he thinks that when we go up there and when we have to go to the judgment or whatever, like when we go to the Bema Seat of Christ or whatever, he's like, there's gonna be like flat screen TVs up there that, that have more capabilities than we
Right.
ever would think of.
Uh,
And
Maybe.
on the flat screen TV, he's like, you're gonna get to see your life played out.
Oh wow.
That's what his thoughts were, and I was like, that's an interesting way of thinking about it. I never thought of it like that. But he's like, yeah, but just remember, that's just a thought. It's not truth or anything. He's just like, I'm just putting out a thought. I don't know if it's, that's what's gonna happen. But he was just like, and I was like, well, that's an interesting thought. Uh, but we don't really see that in scripture. So I was just like, well, I don't see it in scripture, but he just like, I don't know. I guess it's imagination. What are your
Right.
thoughts on that?
Well, I think there'll be something like that if it whether it's like a vision or played out on a cloud or somehow they're probably going to talk about the things that we did and us, we'll have to be accountable for everything, I guess. But yeah, it seems kind of like that, like something like that would happen. I don't know though. Maybe, I guess. I don't know. I'm curious about all kinds of stuff, like things that happened like way before you were born, and just the angels and what we're gonna see, what's gonna look like. You know what I mean? Like, is it gonna be all like clouds and stuff, or is it all? It's probably gonna be awesome though, whatever it is. Like I don't know. Like it's got. I'm impressed with Earth alone, let alone going somewhere else. So. It's probably going to be. But even if it was terrible, though, I'd be there for God anyway, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely hear you on that. I mean, we have our Savior, so Jesus Christ, of course. We always got to remember we always have to bring it back to Him because He's the one that saved us. Um, and if like I said in Matthew 18:11, He came to save that which was lost. And Luke 19:10, He came to save that which was lost. So He's the one that comes and He calls out to us, and people either hear Him or they ignore Him.
Yeah, for sure.
But it always leads to Him. Everything's to Him. So it's going to be awesome either way. And that's another thing that I think too with this whole deception thing, that technology has some sort of way to play with it, play into it. And a lot of supernatural things that are going to happen that people are going to be like, ooh, whoa, like that, what the heck is that, freaking out and stuff like that. And it's just going to be one of those things you're just like, this is a deception. But God's gonna, He's the one that's gonna let them do that. Okay, you don't want to believe truth, go ahead, do your thing. And He's gonna allow them to be deceived. He's gonna give a strong delusion, it tells us in the scripture. So
Yeah, I've heard that too. And then also that like something about men's hearts are going to fail or something, like how frightening things are or something.
men's hearts are gonna fail them for what they see coming on this earth. Um, that's Yeah, like the locusts and stuff like that. The ones that are gonna have like their wings are gonna sound like horses or something like that, like chariots.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then they're gonna have like sharp teeth as lions, and their face is gonna look like men, but their hair is gonna be like women's hair.
Yeah, it's pretty trippy.
Yeah, and then it's going to torment uh, people for 5 months, day and night, and they're going to wish that they're going to seek death but can't find it.
Hmm. Yeah, I always wonder if that's like because they're downloaded into a computer or something. I don't know.
That could also be. Some people theorize too. It could be technology, like not just downloaded into a physical or into a what is it called? A different reality, I guess you could call it.
Hmm.
But also that they mingle themselves with iron. Um, that they're going to have these incorruptible bodies because they decided to go to transhumanism or something.
Uh-huh.
And that's just a theory too, because people talk about that like it's nothing. Like they're going to put their consciousness into a robotic body and all this weird stuff. So um, there's always that too, And when you look at the mark of the beast and all that, it's talking about in your right hand or in your forehead.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I think what it talks about that, it's talking about the RFID chip because we've heard about that or being chipped into your brain. Um, so yeah, there's all that too as well. And when I hear the statue that they are talk that he's gonna give life to the statue and all that stuff, and people need to like they should worship it or something.
Hmm.
And if you don't, you're gonna die because you don't worship it. I
Uh-huh.
think that's also robots or something
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
because they're walking and talking and stuff like that. Um, yeah, there's just all these different thoughts on it. We'll know at the if we're still here, we'll know about all that stuff because it does tell us that after the tribulation of those days, then the rapture will happen. I That's what I believe at least. So I don't know. What's your take
Yeah,
on
I
that?
think so too. I think it's like after the tribulation, that's when we're gonna go up.
Yeah.
'Cause the reason why I say that is because one is there's already people that are dying for being Christian, so they didn't get raptured, right? And so why would we be different? And then the other thing is if the witnesses are going to get killed, then it seems like we are too. You know what I mean? Not only that, but like that's just been the way it's been since like going all the way back to the apostles. Like I think Paul was crucified upside down or something, or maybe that wasn't him, but like, or maybe that was Peter. But like, but
The,
all
that
right,
that was Peter. That was Paul had his head chopped off.
yeah. And I used to really kind of not like Paul because I realized just the awful things he did, and then and it was hard for me to come to grips with Paul. But like, and I know it sounds bad, but it's the truth. And then just like I don't know, for some reason Stephen's story just really touches me. You know how he was stoned to death, right? And
Oh man.
kind of like it's very profound, kind of like the cross, I guess. I don't know, but it's something about the way that whole story was laid out. It's just compelling, and but it was a trip about Paul. I don't know how I missed this the first time. Maybe I saw it and my mind was on something else. Um, but he's the reason why the Gentiles got the word. If I'm reading that right, is that what Mark says too?
Well, with Mark, Luke, and John, God was telling them to preach to the lost sheep of Israel. And then, God had a plan with Paul, and Paul was to go out there and preach to not just the Jews, but also to the Gentiles. So yeah, he was preaching a lot to the like Greeks and stuff, and it was talking about that in the scripture. Um, what else was it? I know Peter and Paul didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things too. When you read in the book of Acts and stuff like that,
Uh huh.
because you know Peter would start to go and like hang out with the Gentiles and all that stuff. And then as soon as the Jewish people started coming around, he would basically abandon ship with the Gentiles and go over there and hang out with the Jews, the Jewish people and stuff. And what was it? There was another thing too. I can't remember the story, so I can't really go upon too much on that because I can't remember exactly everything with Paul and Peter. But I remember something with him, like he was saying he was doing something with the law or something like that, and like Paul had to correct him on it. Uh,
Hmm.
I just can't remember what the story was on the top of my head. Like I'm trying to think of it, but so he was doing that, and Paul was like, "No, no, 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 no! You don't do that. Don't add the law to grace." So he was he was telling him that stuff. Um, what else was there? There was something else. And my question to you too is, how come you don't
Okay.
like Paul too much? If you don't mind me asking.
Paul, just the way he was persecuting everybody, you know what I mean? And it just seems like he was so cruel and ruthless, you know what I mean? And he's, I know there's other people who do that in the Bible, but they had to draw his story out more, and I get it now because it's a lot of stuff combined. One of them, like I think the original Christians probably reacted to the same way, like, who the heck is this guy? How can we trust him? Like, I mean, all these, you know, backstabbing things that he did, right? And but then they turned around and accepted him after he was being genuine. So I don't know. I guess that's it. And then Stephen, I guess I just felt bad for Stephen, because like I guess and then you have like I don't know why it is. I guess because he was so just dead set about killing all those Christians. I don't know. Like, he seemed kind of like just a really ruthless, cold person. You know, ambitious or something. But then you get it. You're like, wow. Even though someone who could be the most ruthless, evil person in the world, and they can still find the truth, though. So in a way, it's just super profound, and it's like such a turning point too, because before that it was just for the Jews, even with Jesus, right? But after that, that's when the word really got. So he's so important compared. So no wonder they made that story so big.
That's true.
Oh, and all the other thing is Paul too. He was like the ones. I think he was like saying, "Don't worry, don't make them circumcised." Right? Is what you're saying? There's like that's the law. They're not about the law. Jesus did away with that, right?
He was talking about circumcision of the heart, though. That's what the circumcision was really
Mhm.
about.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
for
about the
sure.
circumcision on the inside. So
Right.
God gives you, I know it's in the Old Testament somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, he says he turned your heart of stone into a heart of flesh.
Uh-huh.
So once you believe on Him, on Jesus Christ, your heart of stone turns into a heart of flesh. It's a
Uh-huh.
circumcision of the heart.
Right.
Um, and what else was it? With Paul and all that too, you got to remember, he probably had a lot of things going on in his mind too as well when he was persecuting the church, and then he found out that Jesus was the way, the only way.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, and God tells him that my grace is sufficient enough. So it's like, I'm thinking in my mind when, he's like, man, I did so many horrible things. I just have this picture in my mind of him going, I'm so sorry for the things I've done. He starts to feel this pain inside, and God's like, my grace is sufficient enough for you.
True.
Don't worry about that,
You know what's funny about him too, though, is that he had all that ambition. You know what I'm saying? Because he was like gung ho killing people left and right. But once he got saved, though, then that gung ho went the other way. You know what I'm saying? Like a coin. So I think maybe like God saw that ability he had and used it to save people rather than persecute them or something. Because this the I don't know. We're probably on different pages about. I get what you're saying, but I'm probably my mind's on something different aspect of it. But I watched a movie on it. It all kind of came together for me. I was like, wow, that's that. That's the reason why the rest of the world got the word is because of him.
Yeah. What I'm thinking too, maybe we are, I don't know, but I think I hear where you're coming from on that. He had like a zeal for God, but he uh, he was using it like he thinks he was doing God a service when he was persecuting the Christians.
True. Oh, you're right. Yeah, good point.
He was thinking he was doing the right thing,
Oh, trippy.
but really he
Yeah.
wasn't.
I never even thought about that. I didn't realize he was doing it for God both times because, you know what? Oh my God. I just had another revelation. So what that reminds me of is the people that are judging everyone, right? I'm judging you for God. Quit smoking or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Pointing your finger at somebody, right? When, right?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, basically they're thinking they're doing God a service,
Mm-hmm.
but really they're not because
Yeah.
they were missing the whole point all along, and that was Christ.
Yeah. There's so much about Paul, right? I mean, there's so many nuggets in that whole story, really. For like, one of them being Stephen. Like I said, that's one of the stories that has impacted me the most out of all the New Testament.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. With Stephen and stuff, yeah, that was in chapter 7, I believe, when he was getting. Let me go back to that real quick. It was in Acts chapter 7, I think.
I hate to bug out early too, but I'm gonna go on the Talking Doctrines open panel here in a minute. That's the one because you know Cupcake asked me to go in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So but let me know what you're talking about. Then I'm gonna bail.
Yeah. When he was talking, where was it? It was in chapter 7. I think, if I'm correct on that, when he gets stoned, and he was telling them about Moses and everything in the Old Testament,
Mm-hmm.
and how everything was aligning for the Messiah and everything like that. And he was telling them how, how can they basically you know go for other gods and stuff like that. And the Star of Rephaim, instead of, how we think it's the Star of David, that's actually the Star of Rephaim, which is an occultic thing. It goes all the way to Baal or whatever, Baal.
Uh-huh.
And so they were really worshiping the wrong thing, the wrong God. They were worshiping the little g God instead of the true God, which is, So that's just basically what it is, and that's why they stoned him, because he was telling them the truth. And then he looked up and saw, Jesus standing up at the right hand of the Father right there, and he was just like, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." It was just
Yeah.
a really good kind of thing, I guess. But you know how he was standing up for truth, and God stood up for him. Right there, right. It's like a standing ovation. That's how I saw it, like a standing ovation for him.
Awesome.
So, but have fun over at Talking Doctrine. I might go on there a little later.
Yes. Sorry.
Or
And plus, I'm tired, dude. I'm like up all day. But I was trying to get a hold of you like earlier, like around noon and stuff. I thought that's what time you wanted to do this, and then it kind of went on. So
I
I
saw that you
apologize.
did a live stream too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was talking to Mark because there's something we've been talking about for a while. I wanted to do, but even before we started, I thought, well, let's get a hold of Esteban, and I tried to get a hold of you before, like a few minutes, probably like 10, 15 minutes before that we did that. If I remember right, it was before anyway. And then I let him know about it. He goes, well, hey, maybe we can reach out to him. So we tried, and I sent you out a link and stuff. So I don't know what happened, but it wasn't like I wasn't trying though. But I apologize, Esteban. But I'm gonna take off, man. Okay.
I'm probably gonna end the stream right now, and then I'll just go over to Talking Doctrine too as well. So,
Okay. All right.
uh,
Later.
have a good night, everybody. God bless you all, and talk to you guys later. Peace.